You are going to run Sanjo Chie here. So, welcome to my review for One Piece chapter 983. And honestly, it's definitely a step up from last week's chapter. Definitely more going on, more mysteries intensifying where the story is concerned. So, of course, if you enjoy the content here on the channel, be sure to rate, comment, subscribe. But let's get right into it. So, we kind of start off with a interesting cover page. We have Pound essentially finally making contact with Chiffon, Capone, and Lola. So Oda doing his usual, not being able to kill off persons in the present as opposed to killing off a bunch of persons in flashbacks. Now, I know a lot of persons have problems with that, but it kind of makes me wonder, does Oda have plans for Pound and Capone, since he's part of the worst generation, fine, but like Pound, is he going to be relevant going forward at some point? That's the better question. But to this day, Pell himself hasn't really played a major role since he survived his bombing, so it is what it is. Anyway, we kind of start off the chapter with Perospero, who is seemingly alone and not in the presence of the other Big Mom pirates, so that's interesting to see. Granted, given his devil fruit abilities, he should be able to, turn the sea or the water to candy and kind of just make his way to Onigashima by himself, if anything. But it's interesting to note that he's not really seeing eye to eye with Big Mom where the alliance with the Beast Pirates is concerned. So obviously there's going to be a lot of confusion and more mayhem there. Granted, hopefully he gets in contact with Big Mom before he gets in touch or meets up with Marco, King, or any of the other beast pirates like he's saying here in this chapter, because it's going to be mayhem and chaos there. We also find out that Usopp and Chopper, well, Big Mom has decided to leave them alone and go after Nami's group instead, who apparently have they've lost contact with Sanji, who apparently he's decided to go and seek out more women because he's disappointed from the time he went to the pleasure hall. So character quirks still in place despite the intensity or the severity or the importance of this alliance and mission overall. But knowing Sanji, who's from time to time come in handy to say the least, where, like, for example, during back in Ennie's lobby, where he pulled the lever for the Gates of Judgment, where he played a major role in, getting Baroque works off the Straw Hat Steel by, playing the whole Mr. Prince. I feel like Sanji is going to come in handy in some shape or form, despite his decision to go after more women, despite the mission. So I think Oda is definitely building something up where Sanji is concerned. So it's interesting to see. We just have to wait and see, honestly. No, we have, interestingly enough, we have Big Mom, she's decided to, make use of her devil fruit and, animate more inanimate objects. And she's decided not to actually rush for Nami or Carrot or anybody else at the moment. She does mention that the performance floor is just ahead. There's no escape for them. So yeah, they should be bumping up in a bunch of gifters more than likely. Yeah. One thing that's interesting to note as well is Orochi, and honestly, the more, I think it's safe to say at this point, Orochi is going to be his own downfall, because from last chapter, I think a lot of persons would agree that Orochi should probably just kill Momonosuke instead of doing this whole, you know, public execution. And I feel like that's gonna come back to bite him, honestly. I mean, he is at least trying to get things done, and he's not as worried as Kaido, well, with good reason. But I think Orochi, the way he does things, it's part of his character. It's nothing outside of his characterization so far, so I think it's perfect for him at this point. But him putting Momonosuke up for public execution, I feel like he's just wasting time, honestly. But it is what it is. In this chapter, we also get to see what happened to Zoro, Kid, and Killer, because last chapter, it was, in retrospect, it was kind of sudden just having Luffy bump up into Ulti and PH1 like that. We didn't even get to see how we actually got to that point. So we have Zoro, well, it doesn't like explicitly say he's lost, but he's dealing with a lot of gifters. He's apparently getting deeper and deeper into the castle. We have Kid and Killer going up against another set of persons. And we have this interesting line of dialogue where he says he's lost track of heat. but they should be good all the same. I'm not sure what's that's about. Heat. There's something I'm missing. Let me know in the comment section below. I'm not sure who's Heat. Is it that more persons in Kid's crew are actually here? So, lots of stuff like that. But interesting to note, Yamato was actually close by Kid there, where we see Kid actually take advantage of the distraction by Yamato. So, yeah. That aside, we have Luffy versus PH1 and Ulti. And of course, we get to find out Ulti's Devil Fruit. She is a... Hold on. Whoa. Crazy, crazy, crazy. She's a Pachycephalosaurus. Hopefully I pronounced that right. So there's that. Of course, Ulti definitely still one of the fan favorites where the Toby Rope are concerned. Luffy, of course, acknowledging as he goes deeper and deeper, bumps up into more of Kaido's crew, he keeps acknowledging that, yo, I can't be underestimating these persons, honestly. And I think one thing this chapter kind of helps solidify, if it wasn't like solidified already, is that Luffy is definitely not beating Kaido on a one-on-one match. Because if at one point within this fight between him and PH1 and Ulti, he actually was going to go gear fort at one point. So honestly, this chapter, if nothing else, solidified the need for the alliance for Luffy, and that we may be looking forward to like a group match against Kaido himself, because one-on-one, Luffy, despite his recent weeks of training, is definitely not going to take down Kaido by himself. So there's definitely that. We have well, despite the fight and seeing what PH1 and Ulti could do against Luffy, which was pretty cool and all, it's it's the presence of Yamato who finally makes his appearance in the manga. And he says Luffy from Ulti and PH1, and points out that, yo, he's been waiting for Luffy. He's been waiting to meet him essentially for a long time. And that is like, that just that's interesting to say the least, because why would the son of Kaido be waiting to meet Luffy for the longest period of time? And it's not like he's a character that we've like bumped into before, who we may have met or anything. So I'm wondering why Yamato would be waiting on Luffy. Could it be a case where Yamato probably heard about Luffy's defeats back in the mainland of Wano, and he's been waiting for certain persons, or waiting for persons to actually step up and help save Wano? Is that the case? Or was the case that Yamato was actually born here in Wano? That's like another question. Like, Oda's really presented us with like a lot of questions, and now I'm kind of wondering if Yamato is going to like take place, or switch sides from the Beast Pirates and help out Luffy and the rest of the alliance. So that's like the next thing too. It's interesting to say the least. But based on Yamato's design, he definitely does. He's a very tall character. It kind of reminds me of Kanjuro, kinda, in terms of like body type. So, well, he is Kaido's son, so having him be like big is is to be expected. But based on his design and the horns, I'm wondering if he has. I wonder who his mother is. Black Maria, maybe. Yeah, that would be wild. That would be really wild. But in terms of the piercing, I thought this week's chapter was a fine addition to kind of progress the plot compared to last week, which was for the most part kind of like more or less a setup chapter for the most part. I like the fact that Piedron, the Toby Roppo, despite the fact that Luffy is decently powerful at this point, he doesn't make quick work of them. It really helps solidify the stakes and the power of the Toby Roppo, because if Luffy has to go gear forward against them, then it really reinforces the fact that there is a need for this alliance, and nobody's beating Kaido one-on-one. So it basically sets things up ahead of time to add credit to Kaido, that even if Kaido really and truly goes down in this arc, that he wasn't a pushover, and he's worthy of the title of Yonko, to say the least. So there's that. What's interesting is that Yamato uses the same technique as Kaido, the Thunder Bagua. Oh, hold on, probably said it right. Yeah, Thunder Bagua. So that should be interesting. But anyway, let me know what you thought about this chapter. I thought it was a fine addition. We're on break next week, unfortunately, but that's to be expected with the whole pandemic. I mean, Oda did give fair warning that there may be more breaks than usual anyway, so yeah. But I thought it was a decent chapter. Definitely solidified the need for the alliance. I'd credit to Kaido. Solidified need for the alliance, and of course, increase the piercing. There are a lot of moving parts to this section of the arc, so I'm interested to see how it's all going to turn out in the end. Granted, if I were to guess, I don't think the arc might last probably until the end of the year, to say the least, given the pace that Oda's going at. So probably about 30 more chapters. I expect this whole arc to end. Hopefully. Maybe. But anyway, Sanju Uchiha, let me know what you thought. Let me know your thoughts are on the chapter specifically as well. And I'll see you guys in the next video.